Hello, everybody. I'm Q, also known as Q the Brand, your guest host for Marketing Therapy. Thank you to the Biz Chicks for allowing me to sit here for another week and talk about some topics that are important to me. Marketing Therapy is a show that is used to inspire real and effective communication, disguised as a marketing show, but really it's about communication and whether it's for personal business, it's just tools that get you to succeed. So with that, now he barks. With that, I want to talk today about becoming a change maker. So I would love to know, for those of you that are live with us, if you also wouldn't mind sharing this out to your community, greatly appreciate it. But do you know what a change maker is? Please chime in the chat. I'd love to know. But if not, I will tell you. Okay. David, what is a change maker? He says, yup. Uh-oh. 1 second.
I am just holding down the ship over here on the lab to let you know that we will be on Fire Talk today.
All right. Sorry, guys. Okay, so a change maker is a term coined by social entrepreneurship organization Ashoka, meaning that it's a person who desires change in the world, and by gathering knowledge and resources, they make that change happen. So hence the change maker. It's simple to understand, but it's, I guess, a little more difficult to execute. So what do change makers seek? Change makers seek to provide social change or make a social impact or any kind of change that can really help people and mostly large amounts of people. You can spot these change makers with the following titles. They are called social entrepreneurs or activists, but most of the time there isn't a title. And so with that, you don't really know if they're making an impact unless they say it. So there's a difference between having a cause, like donating to a cause based, with your profits, and actually making a difference. And actually you are impacting the difference, not just with your money. So the difference between change makers and the average person or the average business owner is that change makers actually elicit the change that a lot of people try, but they don't do it, whether it's because of a lack of, resources or education or experience. There are a lot of people that want to make a difference, but I don't know, it's just they really don't succeed. So the change makers, they use their knowledge, experience, resources, connections, and determination. I think that determination and passion is super important, because most of the time people don't contribute to causes or contribute to the change unless they have a passion for something, unless they are personally affected, which is a shame. We should all be doing good no matter what, but what do we relate to? Well, we relate to anything that has affected us or people that we love. So if there are any companies that come to mind that are change makers or making social change, I'd love to know here in the chat. I can name a few. Google, how is Google making there? Fran, do you know how Google's making impact?
Yeah, they're putting they're trying to get Wi-Fi everywhere now, which is going to make a major impact for those people who cannot currently get it.
Isn't Facebook trying to do that too?
Yeah.
internet access.
And they're using, I believe Facebook is going to use drones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, another example is the well-known Tom Shoes and the One for One campaign. I actually know the lady that worked with Tom to create that campaign, and they have copycat campaigns. So every time you buy a pair of Tom shoes, he donates another pair of shoes to kids or people that need the shoes. So that is a well-known social impact type business. Now, there's a few that even as I was doing some research didn't know about it. So this goes back to a lack of marketing on this particular topic. But Out of Africa, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I've heard of them. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I did hear of it.
So they are a cosmetics company, and they do more than just like purchase high quality shea butter and skin products. They also help improve the quality of life for West African women and children. They use a portion of the proceeds donated to organizations that provide education, medical care to children, and they typically donate to women's cooperatives that create jobs for the women in West Africa. And if you think about it, that's a lot to take on for a company that's selling cosmetics. David says Tony Robbins and Feeding America partner the past couple of years to feed 100 million meals to the hungry. Yes, and that is Tony Robbins is amazing. So yes, that is an example. So besides Tom's, beside Out of Africa, we have People Water. You familiar with People Water? So most people probably don't think that you can just buy bottled water and it's really doing much. But what you're doing by purchasing this type of water, it's providing clean water to impoverished nations around the world. So they have created a campaign. So just like the One for One, they have Drop for Drop. And this is their initiative that every bottle the company sells helps to fund one of its global clean water projects. And that includes like building a new well, repairing a broken one, or establishing a water purification system. As we know that there are numerous areas that are suffering from poor water quality, and we need water to survive. So People Water has helped bring more than 5.7 million gallons of clean water to people in need. And what I like about Google and Facebook is, and we do need the internet, right? We're coming into an age where people are needing the internet, and the same way that we need water. And it sounds kind of crazy, but it's true, right? I mean, if we can teach people, if we can give internet access to, to people that don't have it, it immediately gives them a medium to start a business even.
Yeah.
It's great. Another company that I was unfamiliar with is Popnod. So Popnod is a company that has like partner stores, and every time people shop online, they earn cash back that can be donated in varying amounts to the cause of their choice. And this is the most common way that I'm seeing this whole social impact happen, is that they're allowing, like Amazon's doing it, they are giving the consumer the choice of who they want their money to go to. So instead of you having to adopt that company's cause, they're saying, tell us where you want us to put it. Fran, you said Whole Foods is another one?
They do microloans and other community-based things, like in particular communities where the stores are, they do things to help right in the community, not just global.
Yeah. David says Apple is trying to become a change maker by getting young children easier access to development with playgrounds and app to teach coding that will be included in iOS 10. And coding is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny because I went into coding. I learned Pascal, which is embarrassing for most, fancy coders nowadays. But I thought that I was going to be a computer genius, coder genius. And what ended up happening is people discouraged me because they said, you're never going to get healthcare. You're never going to get benefits. That job isn't going to provide you with what you need. So look at, we're paying coders top dollar now. We're fighting over great talent. So,
have you heard they're going to do a reality show with Apple?
Is that with Gwyneth Paltrow, Gary Vaynerchuk, and will.i.am?
Yeah, where they're bringing in developers and they're going to develop apps and things. I thought, oh, okay. Now we're
getting into entertainment.
Thought it was interesting.
They're gonna get that shows me that they're gonna enter the Netflix space.
Yeah.
Where Netflix is creating their own shows and their own content that they're trying to get into that space.
Yeah, I think so too. But they are doing some other things. Are we talking, when we're talking about change makers, are we talking about environmentally as well?
Yeah, whatever lists change.
So when I listen to their, whatever the event is they have in San Francisco every year, they brought up a lady who's dealing with the green side of things, where their whole new building is going to be totally green, using solar as the key for powering it up. But they're also the way that they recycle their iPhones and recycle the parts that are in there. Everything can be used again. So you're not going to find a lot of stuff in the landfills. I thought that was, oh, wow. We don't talk a whole lot about that when we talk about Apple or sometimes other larger corporations that are doing things that are change worthy. Sometimes you don't hear it.
And that's the thing. I mean, if people heard, all the great things that are happening, as opposed to just the negative things or the rough things, people might pay attention to the news more. And the thing is also accessibility to this information. Correct. Just like I have a list of companies, more than the ones that I've listed, which I want to mention. SurveyMonkey, they have to tell us. They have to tell someone or put it out on the internet that they're doing something. Yeah. But a lot of people, have reservations about that. They don't want to come off as saying like this is a media opportunity. Right. They don't want to sound, into themselves. So they say, oh, I'm going to keep that quiet. If people want to know or they inquire, they'll find out. But if there's one thing I learned about this day and age is that we have to serve everything on a platter. And it then boils down to my favorite saying, it's all in the delivery.
Yeah.
So if we say, okay, if I say I'm doing this and I'm doing that and me, well, of course it's going to come off like I'm just trying to get attention. If I say, a cause that is near and dear to my heart is, pet adoption versus, pet stores. And, so what I have done to make an impact in this thing is to go this route. And so you can deliver in such a way that doesn't make you sound, what's the word I'm thinking about? Just
self-serving.
Me monster.
Monster.
So I want to talk about SurveyMonkey because SurveyMonkey, there's all these like banners and stuff around. And so it seems really cluttered with, I don't know if they're advertising. I don't know if it's a spam link. But SurveyMonkey ended up on this list. And so for those of you that don't know, they're known for their easy to use, survey software. So you create a survey and you use a link and then they put together all your data for you. And it's just a popular service. Now, they also do things like, instead of offering cash and prizes to survey takers, SurveyMonkey donates 50 cents per survey completion to the taker's charity of choice.
That's nice.
So in 2013, the company donated more than $1 million to organizations like the Humane Society, Boys and Girls Club of America, and Teach for America.
Very nice.
But I know for sure SurveyMonkey doesn't talk about that.
True, because we never heard that.
Yeah.
We've only seen the SurveyMonkey and know that we should be using it if we need to do a quick survey. Yeah, we never knew that they give back. Like Star Wars, we don't know that he gives back. I mean, he does, but he have the Edutopia?
That I'm unfamiliar with.
George Lucas, he has a foundation called Edutopia.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can speak for my own business. I have another business called Q Approved, and that is to bridge the responsibility gap between diners and restaurants so that people with food restrictions can safely go out to eat while increasing the revenue or the customers in the restaurant business.
Nice.
And it's so that people can safely eat out, and then restaurants don't have to worry about lawsuits or things like that. And it's and this is kind of off topic, but I heard in the news today that there was someone who was served something that they were allergic to despite talking about it, and he went into a coma for a couple of days, and now this restaurant and surrounding restaurants are considering not serving people with allergies.
That is extreme. You don't stop serving the people. You just make sure you put your processes in place, like listen to the customer when he tells you they can't eat a certain thing.
Exactly. So training and education, which is a lot of the time a way to make an impact. That's exactly why. I mean, I am allergic to everything, and I have had problems dining out, and I also know how the industry works. And so I want to use my powers for good and share that. So, that leads me down to some vocabulary terminology of social responsibility. So we have our change makers, and then we have social responsibility. 66% of mid-sized business owners say that they are seeking to establish their corporate social responsibility, or CSR. And what that is like the social impact, like the change. It's more creating a term. And the change makers are the people involved, and then social responsibility is, I guess, the product of change makers within organizations. And this particular activity has to come from the top down. You can't just have your people at the bottom, or the forward facing folks be the change makers. This has to be a culture. This has to be adopted by every single person within the organization. And this whole social responsibility thing it's becoming like a reputational imperative that, more and more companies need to do this. And, there are stats to prove it. And it's important to note that you don't have to be a nonprofit to be a social responsible company, because most people associate nonprofits with doing the good, like, oh, we'll just leave that to nonprofits, but we're in the business of making money, so we can't make an impact. But you absolutely can. And here are some stats that I think will catch your eye. And it's not too late to adjust or pivot your business into being socially responsible. You can do that at any time. So 90% of consumers who are surveyed are more likely to trust and be loyal to a socially responsible business compared to companies that aren't. So that's 90%. And even if you don't have those traits, they won't. They're less likely to be loyal. 72% of consumers would recommend a brand with a social cause than one without one. And really, at the end of the day, when you are a brand or a business, you want to be speaking less about yourself, and you want more people talking about you. So anything that gets people talking about you and getting more people in the door, it's much more effective to have people talking about you. So, you got to give them a reason though,
So if you haven't set anything up and my mind is moving faster than my mouth. What about the people who are solopreneurs and they're just getting started out the gate? Should they start thinking in terms of social good before they start launching out the door? These are people who are just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, it works both ways. There are a lot of businesses that are created from the passion of the cause, right? Like, I have this cause, I want to make an impact. Okay, I got to create a business in order to, give that solution. But if you are a business and you are doing nails, or you're doing hair, or whatever you're doing, social good can, like Theo says, it's easy to do. Theo says collaboration is key, and it's helpful. I don't want to say that it's key, because it can be super small. I mean, businesses that are starting out are already overwhelmed with everything else that's going on. Like, okay, Q, I now have to change the world. This is, too overwhelming. And it doesn't have to be that way. You literally could mentor other businesses or mentor students younger than you. And that creates a social impact, because we don't have enough good mentors.
True.
So if you can impact one person's life, you have the ability to impact tons of other people. And so your impact can grow along with your business. It doesn't have to be humongous right out the gate.
I like that. So each one of us can influence one other person, or one other business, or one other team. So we can all do just one. We don't have to take on the world. Just, take on our portion of the world.
Yeah. And Theo says, or go make money from your business and donate a portion. For example, like donate $1 amount to buying book bags or something. And that's great, Theo. That's absolutely great. I think the other problem is kind of like the reservation of, I have so much going on and now you want me to do all these things. I'm trying to also emphasize that it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be involving your money. It can involve your time and your connections and your resources and your knowledge and experience. It doesn't have to be your money, because especially if you're just starting out, even $1 or whatever, that's a lot to give back. But if you want to make a difference from day one, you can do that with yourself, with your time.
Yeah, this is good. There is a company here called Rebuilding Together. I think they're national, but they have each chapter. So Rebuilding Together Sacramento, where one day we just went out and we helped clean up this person's yard, rebuild some stuff, and really fixed up their house. It was great. And it wasn't a lot of hard work, because there was over 40 people helping, but everybody was in there. Some people pulling weeds, some people nailing things up. And our local real estate association asked, all the realtors, hey, we're going to do this on this particular Saturday. You want to come out and help? So all of us got credit as realtors to be able to come out and help. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, there is a whatchamacallit, there's a who is it? Like a journalist, a reporter, and every year when he was in Phoenix, he created a gleaning project, because we have a lot of citrus in these parts, and we get a lot of roof rats or whatnot if you don't deal with your citrus. You just leave it up there and it gets kind of gross. So he has like a group of people, and they go and pick the citrus, and then they donate it to St. Mary's Food Bank.
Wow.
And so what he's doing, and then he had to leave, and then he made such an impact with that he got other people to continue the mission every single year. And that's what I'm saying, is like, you could influence a small group of people to then influence a bigger group of people, and you're still a change maker. It doesn't have to be, we're not all able to provide drone internet access to all of these other places, unfortunately.
I think the underlying message here is that do what you can with what you have. Do good with what you have.
And it's possible to with what you have.
And use your powers for good. You can say something to someone. You can help, just like you said, little things to help.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's also do invest in something bigger than yourself. That's a lifestyle, that's a mindset. Thinking about it in business terms, having a socially responsible company can actually increase the chances of sustainability of your business, right? Like you also have to be very innovative with your own products and your marketing, but if you have a cause and you have a mission, typically that helps drive you in some of the hardest times. And it also provides resources at times, because if you've been helping a cause and say you get to be put in a pickle or a difficult situation, you never know when that cause can help you. Obviously it depends on what it is, but you just never know. I mean, if you help other people, they could potentially help you. So the sustainability of businesses is something that is a topic that I'm very passionate about. But like we were talking about, anyone can become a change maker. I believe that they are the force of the social evolution. This is, they create purpose for themselves and for businesses. And it's really simple. Like, you can just have, more products and services that are supporting the CSR or the corporate social responsibility. Or you could spend your time doing things. So for those of you that are live with us, I'd love to know if you have a cause that you're passionate about. Put a 1 in the chat. If yes, 2, if no. And don't be ashamed if you don't have a cause. It's normal. There's a lot of people that don't have a cause that they're passionate about, because there are so many. Like, how can I choose just one? So we have, and I'll put a 1 in that myself. And I'm one of those people that has a ton of causes that I'd love to, impact. But what about a change maker? Do you consider yourself a change maker? Put a 3 if yes, or 4 if no. 4 if no. Okay. So I'm going to go with 3. I just don't want to mix up the numbers. And again, this impact can be mentoring, giving, volunteering, anything of that nature.
So I don't know why Theo does not have a 3 in there, because he, and maybe sometimes you don't feel that you're doing it, but you are. And you just don't see it you just see it as something that you do, but it is making a change in someone's life. It's making a change it's affecting someone else for the good. But, maybe somebody's told you that you are, but you still don't see it. So I think there's a lot more people that are change makers than are.
They realize.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing as, businesses doing some good and not talking about it. Like, they might not realize it. It might be so ingrained into their culture or the way they do things that it's like breathing to them. But those things are so important to talk about and to show some positivity and progress and change. I've talked about this book on this show. I think I have. Switch.
Yeah.
By Chip and Dan Heath.
Okay.
How to change things when change is hard. So depending on where you are at mentally, it could be a self-help book. how to change things for yourself when change is hard. But it could also be a way to change. Yes, Beth. It could be a way to change someone else's mind. It could other people's minds. It's just it's all about change. And some people, I should say, a lot of people don't embrace the change, which is another hurdle or barrier to having more change makers. Maybe it takes too much effort and energy, or they don't have the time. But you literally could multitask your change. Right? If you just positioned your business or tweaked something, you could be making a change every time you pick up the phone.
Correct.
You know, so and this is where I think the future of business lies. That you know, I know for a fact, being a millennial, the millennials are the Y generation. They want to just be involved and understand. They are more passionate about causes and you know who they're supporting. And they will put the energy if they know why and they understand that it's making an impact. So as these people get older, and these people have our consumers, well, then that's going to affect business. It's the same thing with my allergy business. Right now, 25% of people have an allergy. And so right now, the restaurant industry isn't doing anything because they believe 1 in 4, that's not enough for me to make a change, which is 25%. It's not like 2%, it's 25%. But what they don't realize is that the demographics are children and elderly that are affected. So you have people that dine out with the children and elderly typically. So you're not losing one person, you're typically losing up to 4 people, 5 people, sometimes 6, something called the veto vote. Right? There's so many, there's always more people involved or more people affected. And wow. Understanding that is, I think, the biggest thing, because if you understand the bigger picture, it might influence the change.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't see the bigger picture. Apparently that's a skill.
Apparently it is, because people fuss about stuff, the little minor stuff, and if they saw the bigger picture, that little minor stuff would not even be an issue.
Yeah. And especially if you're a business owner, you have to be able to look, you know, a few years down the road, at least, which I think is why businesses, at least here in Phoenix, so a lot of restaurants are closing their doors after a year. It used to be 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
But now they don't even break the 2-year mark. And there's this small corridor of like, I don't even think it's 2 miles. There's 21 restaurants opening up. And we're not talking about chain at all. Like, we're talking about these mom and pop shops opening up within this corridor. It's a shame that the majority of those will shut down. And they invest millions in all this, like, you know, fancy decor and things like that. But they're just doing business, right? They're, you know, Arizona's trying to become a food hub. So they're just like going out there trying to push out good food. And they think the food speaks for itself. But if they had a cause, they would have a bigger audience. You know, if they were part of something greater, it would be more than just about their food. And and it needs to be more than just about your products and more than just about you. You know, do something, again, I'm going to say it, you know, be a part of something that's bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And it, not to mention, it adds character.
Yeah. It
and empathy.
Yeah. But again, what you said earlier is, if it's part of the culture, it came as a result of your character and your empathy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You this is coming. Normally, what's in you is going to come out of you. You put enough pressure on, the real you is going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So brands and companies, what they do under pressure, it comes out. You know, who they, you know, I hate to push some buttons on some people that's been in the news lately. Not sure how that's going to go. But they're like, I know if we pushed Q's button, she's going to have some grace and etiquette as she puts you in your place. Do you understand? There are some people that'll just not do what they're supposed to do.
Oh, I mean, it's the same reason why I believe that my reputation management service has a place, because people get so defensive and people are so ready to get defensive about whatever it is, right? And they take things as it's all confrontational. Well, no, I mean, some of us are not passive aggressive. Some of us just want to talk about the hard things. Like nobody wants to have these difficult conversations, but the people that are making the greatest impact are the people that are having the difficult conversations.
Yeah.
So it's just that, do you really want to live your life within a box, or do you want to live your life to your fullest potential? And I think a lot of people still don't know what their greatest potential is yet, right? But being open to it is the first step, and listening to messages, reading books, seminars, whatever it is. Those are the ways.
We discovered another way that you're going to get to your potential, and it's not a fun way, but your potential is going to be, your leadership is going to be challenged in the crisis.
Oh yeah.
Because now you're going to have to figure out a solution, and what you're made of is going to come up, and then you have to make a choice on how to fix that. So the next time a crisis comes up, you're more prepared, but you're never going to learn without it.
But if you wait till your crisis happens, there might be something that you can't get over. Right?
Correct.
There might be some damage.
So there should be a plan in place. You should have studied the industry and found out, some best practices and what you can do if something of that nature occurs. Is that what I'm hearing? There's a plan in place?
There's always a plan in place. There's always strategy. Oh. That S word.
Okay, so if that plan is like your safety net, if you were walking in the tightrope, you need to have some type of safety net down there. And that plan might be that safety net. Oh, I know what I'm going to say if they ask me this, or if they question my social responsibility, I will say this, or I can show them this.
Well, that's exactly it. And I think that for those that don't believe in insurance for their business, a lot of people only purchase insurance for their vehicles because they have to, right? But there's a lot of people that don't believe in insurance. Like, that's not going to happen to me. So these plans, these strategies, they can definitely be your safety net. But for those of you that don't believe in safety nets, it can also be there for you when you've maybe lost your way, or you're starting to question everything, that you forgot why. It could be a bad day, a day that you're just so exhausted. You don't want to deal with the crap anymore. And you're like, why? And this could be your why. This could remind you as to why you're doing all of this. It doesn't necessarily have to be, just a safety net.
Yeah. Like today, we had to invoke our safety net. Based on some things that came up, we had to, pull out the life raft, blow it up, let's go. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we didn't want to have to pull out the life raft, but it was better than having our viewers at risk.
Yeah.
It's much better to not have our viewers at risk. So,
well, this is, one of our viewers, I don't think he's here right now, but he has a show on Mondays as well. And he's been slowly transitioning to Fire Talk. He wants to ease into everything. And don't even get me started about that. But, I said today is the day. If you you can, this is a social impact, I guess, in the other direction. If you leave your audience out there and they have to experience this in the middle of your show, you're tough, but these people might get so freaked out that it's going to be more difficult to, gather them all together and move on to Fire Talk in a situation where they're uneasy about the internet. Because I mean, the stuff that's going on Blab right now is really scary, and it does make people not want to jump on these live streaming platforms. So, understanding the impact even at a micro level that you have on their lives. If you can make a difference, you have the responsibility of doing so. So I told him, now, before they get scared, before they have to experience this, bring them over to Fire Talk and just suck it up, build a bridge, get over it. That's one of my other favorite sayings.
And because Blab, when you go on Blab, your followers are also on Twitter. You can still contact the people who are following you and just tell them where you're going, because you're now on Twitter. And it asks you, you can just put it on Blab and just say, okay, we're all over here. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole show topic as to, is your audience there because of the platform you're on, or because you've curated an audience that is there for you? Yes. So they're going to follow you around.
Correct. And I think it's the latter.
Of course.
My English correctly, because they follow you, not the platform. Mm-hmm. They want to know where you're going, because there are some people who move to another platform, which seems to be more difficult for me to follow them. But I'm following them and trying to figure it all out just because I want to hear what they have to say. I'm like, I don't know why you moved over there, but okay. They gave me options, so I'm taking the second option.
Well, and just like going back to, the whole social impact thing, being transparent about it, right? Saying, here's why. And and not as like a gold star moment or a high five moment, but just saying, look, like, he can say, I just had some concerns, and so I wanted to, avoid this situation from happening, or I'm wanting to invest in spending time on Fire Talk. I mean, all you have to do is tell people. It's the why, get them to understand, and that way they can't misinterpret things or assume things, and that's when problems happen. And it's not automatic that if you have a following that they're really there for you. If you built a brand on Facebook, they could just be following you because it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat.
True.
So you have to make sure that you always, and going back to SurveyMonkey, we can all contribute to SurveyMonkey by getting surveys taken, and understand who your audience is, and understand you got to keep polling them or asking them questions, because if you don't know who you're marketing to or talking to, you don't know if your message is getting across properly.
Correct. It's all about building the relationship. You don't have a relationship with one person, with somebody, and talk to them one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why we're here. We come back every Monday through Friday to talk and have conversation like this one. And because now we trust Q, and when she said that there's something amiss and that there's an opportunity for hacking to take place in the computers of the people who are watching, I was like, oh, time out. We don't even need to experiment with that. Terry's over there, but she's on her phone, which may not, the chances are less likely for her to be hacked on her phone.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, exit stage left. Why do I need to wait for the catastrophe to happen? Maybe because I watched that movie White House down yesterday. I was like, why y'all waiting? Okay. And
That's
you make
right.
an exit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are using their mobile devices to be on Blab. That's a whole nother thing. So yeah, bringing it back to change makers, be a change maker, create a socially responsible company through your products and services, and that the change can be small or big, or you can impact. If you can impact even one life, you can be a change maker. And I think this is where businesses are going, or business is going, and you have a chance at being a sustainable company if you have a cause. And so if you need to discover your cause, as this is your Monday therapy session with Marketing Therapy, I can help you find your cause, find your why. And I'm here every Monday.
And we
So,
appreciate it.
well, thank
Because
you.
it's a different perspective where it's about business, but it's a different perspective. It's making you go a little deeper. So you get to lie down on the couch or in the
Whatever
chair.
you guys are doing.
Yeah. And just think about some things. We're thinking a little deeper about business, not just the day-to-day routine that we normally have to do, but the deeper reasons why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good for us to start that out start the week out with a deeper thought, so we have different actions the rest of the week.
As long as you have good intentions, I think everything kind of comes together. Like if you work with don't just go through the motions. If you go through the motions, like, none of this amazing stuff is going to happen. So find a purpose, live with intention, work with intention, and it'll all work out.
I think so. I always ask the question, what's the one thing that you will take away and implement from what you heard today?
Oh, yes. I love when you ask that question. Or if you have anything that you implemented from last week.
Mm-hmm. Anything.
What was our topic last week?
What happens when clients don't pay? That was good. And I think you have that on your YouTube channel, Q. Do you have that on YouTube? I know we have it here, and I can put it up on this channel.
I'd actually like to get copies so I can include it in the Marketing Therapy playlist.
Okay, I will send it to you then, because I want to go in and I think on YouTube I can now go clip off. Where we're doing all of the audio checks and all of that stuff. So I'll clean it up and send it over.
That'd be great. Yeah. So I can also put it on my iTunes podcast or Spreaker podcast. Marketing Therapy is a podcast, so you guys can listen to it. There's 15 episodes. I am a little behind, but I promise they will get up there eventually. So if you don't want to miss anything, catch us live, 10 a.m. Pacific every Monday.
Yep. Please do. We thank you for tuning in too. Seriously, any questions or anything? I know this is a little different setup and we're getting acclimated to it, but we still want you to participate while you're having your lunch, if you're from the East Coast, or while you're getting brunch on the West Coast. But we do definitely want you to participate. And Terry, thank you over on Blab for directing traffic. And we might be directing traffic. She does that though. When she does, okay, this is, you can't do this and you won't talk about that. And she sounds like the lady on the airplane.
What are their titles? The people who are directing the planes?
I don't know. They're down on the ground though.
Yeah.
But they're having it done.
Yeah.
Beth is having dinner in the UK. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you for having dinner with us.
Yes, it's such a pleasure having you here. So we will be back tomorrow. We're going to be on Fire Talk tomorrow too. I got to get a hold to Web Girl And the cool thing about Fire Talk is easy to get to.
Yeah.
You just type it in. There's no, I mean, if you're on your phone, you'll use the app, but if not, you can go to your web browser and it's very easy to do. So we appreciate you stepping in, and we look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Q, any final words?
No, I think that, you know, one of my biggest takeaways is always, you know, what are you putting out there about your reputation? Like, what are you showing people? Like, what are you all about, or what message are you conveying? And, you know, I'm all about giving you guys the tools to succeed in this manner. And I think this is one of them. You know, find a way to be socially responsible, find a way to become a change maker, and it'll definitely help your reputation.
Yep.
So, but I thank you everyone for listening, and I will be back next Monday.
And we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel on Fire Talk Biz Chicks TV. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.